Well, hello there, gang. Welcome to the 30, my friends, viewers, and listeners. This is the 30, episode 188, as we work ourselves up to episode 200. I want to thank you for being here. Remember to like and share this broadcast. If you're watching us from YouTube, certainly subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so that when you will know exactly when we're on. If you're watching us from YouTube, make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. We're streaming live to our various channels. And I want to thank you for being on this, the 30. Episode 188. And our topic for today is leading from the front, blazing a path. And we have a young man that you're going to love. You are going to love. Ron E. Sneed Jr. I call him Ron. I call him Sneed, and some people call him Sneed. But this is going to be an exciting time. I had an opportunity to actually chat with him earlier based on schedules. You will see this on in terms of a recording based on his schedule, based on both of our schedules. We couldn't make it work in terms of live, so we actually recorded it a little bit earlier. So that's coming up shortly. Before I pull this up for you, I want to talk with you about what's coming up from the Jackman Group. Of course, the 30 is a production of the Jackman Group LLC. You can check all of the 30's episode starting from 3+ years ago. We have numerous episodes up on our YouTube channel under the 30. You can at the 30 with Patrick. You can check that out. But I want to bring you to what's coming up later this month and early next month. As I told you last week, we will be launching our group coaching program. And I've put that in the description of this episode. Make sure you go to the link, click on it. Make sure that you secure your seat because seating is very limited. So make sure that you go and register. All right. I am going to share with you what it looks like so that you have some idea when you hit the registration button. This is where you will normally go and see it. But make sure that you do that. Make sure that you don't miss a thing when it comes to registering for our group coaching. So in the link, in the chat, you will see, or in the description, you will see the link there. Unlock exceptional leadership, amplify your impact and influence. I have an opening video, so you can check that out. And hey, you have to do it, right? Finally, coaching as invested as you are. So if you're interested in having a coach as it relates to group coaching, make sure that you click on that link and register. Everything is there for you, including your investment. So do that for us. Do that for yourself, matter of fact, because you need to invest in you. All right. So let's get to it. As I told you, I had an opportunity to talk with Ron earlier, and based on schedules, he was unable to come in live. But I didn't want to miss this opportunity. You're going to love it. Ron is a fantastic guy. He's doing big things in the community. So I just wanted to share this with you.
So I joined the city about a year and some change. Like it's been a short while. I came on as a supervisor for city security, and while supervising, we were voluntold to take a class called Lead On. While I was in that class, I learned a whole lot of things. Of course, Mr. Patrick, know about how great this class is. As I took the class, there was a lot of things that I learned in there, and I began to apply these things almost immediately after each class. Anything new that I learned that I seen could benefit me in being a better leader for my team, I tried to implement it. And after 9 months, I was actually, blessed with the opportunity to apply for the position of the coordinator of security, which is the number two position in security. Um, it wasn't just me that applied for it, but I said, hey, I feel like I can do the job. I feel like I've learned enough that I want to apply myself and at least get a feel for what the interview process will be for promotion. And all glory be to the Most High, man. I was actually blessed with the opportunity to take the job. Um, it's been a journey. It's a lot to learn. Managing people in a work capacity was still relatively new to me since like I said, I had only been doing it for 9 months. But I've been in this current role going on 7 months now. It's been, like I said, it's been a journey, but it's been very enjoyable to see uh, different issues that arise within the department and be able to be one of those people who knows how to at least keep the fire at bay, if not put it out, is a blessing in itself. So I've really been enjoying the new role.
What are some of the things, Ron? By the way, do you prefer Ron? I know that we call you Sneed. Which
Yeah,
one?
either one. Just don't call me late for dinner, man. Uh, but you can call me Ron. You can call me Ron.
All right, Ron. What were some of the key takeaways from the training that you got that you have implemented or taken with you to this current position?
um, there were time management was a huge one. I've never in the past was I able to call myself a timely person. I was the guy that was 5 minutes late to work every day, or I would call ahead. I was one of those guys that when I showed up to work, I knew I was gonna be one of the best employees they had. But over time, I realized that being great at the job almost comes second to being timely. So in this class, when I learned about time management and work-life balance and things of that nature, implementing those things where I put myself on a certain schedule of what's important. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I still like practice it to this day, where I have my A, B, C categories, and the things within those categories that are important to me, so that I get the most important things accomplished each day. That was one. The other one was knowing my core values, my overdone strengths in comparison to my underused strengths, and by recognizing that, I mean, even to this day, I'll periodically go back to that list so I know what to use in certain situations. There was the one that was an overdone strength was something about being helpful. And I realized over the course of my life, I had a very difficult time saying no. Every time somebody asked me for something, it's like, yeah, I'll do it, even though it took me away from things that were important that I needed to accomplish. So by knowing the overused strengths and underused strengths, I started to kind of find a balance within myself when it came to operating, just in my own personal life. And then from there, I kind of start applying these same things to the work that I do. That was actually, I don't know if you remember, that was actually one of the tips you gave me. We had a brief, I mean, it was like a 5-minute phone call. And I told you my plan was to try to figure out what I could do to benefit the department. And you told me start with yourself. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm trying to fix this. He's like, well, before you fix this, fix you. And once I started doing it, I was like, man, this guy Patrick knows some stuff, man.
Yeah, I remember that conversation because that was actually part of your leadership success plan.
Yes.
Right? Because you had something else, but after
Yeah.
our conversation, I says maybe this is the one that you wanted to look at because you can't lead a team without first knowing who you are, right?
Exactly. And that was the perfect advice. I mean, like I started to apply it in every aspect of life, like my home life with my family, within the church, within the job, and after like recognizing all these things about myself, it was easier to train other people to be leaders as well as lead people who didn't even know the leadership qualities they had in themselves. And and like to see people motivated to do more, it's like it's a blessing all around.
Now that's fantastic. And it wasn't long after you came out of the class that I heard Ron got promoted and he's the second in command. I was like, wow, I knew it, but he had to know it himself.
Yes, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, good. So what else have you learned, Ron, about leadership along the way that you're actually implementing now? Have things in terms of what you learned from the class or what you had previous learned in the job now, what would you say some of the things that really stood out to you?
I think one of the biggest is the one-on-ones. That's something that when you first that mixed with the feedback matrix, like doing feedback, putting those two together has just made all the difference when it comes to this role. The first couple of weeks, there was like, obviously I have that learning curve where you first come in, but you're expected, even though you were just in this role and you move to this new one, everybody expects that you already know everything about your new role. And it's like, come on, man, where's my grace? And I learned that through doing the one-on-ones with the different employees, they actually begin to teach me how they need to be led. Like one of the big things from the class was learning where you fall on the SDI. And
Yeah, it was the continuum. So we did an SDI in terms of knowing what your motives are, your strengths
right.
and overdone strengths. And then we also went into the continuum: beginner, advanced, beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
And that's one now. It's funny you mentioned that because I still have notes on that in my cell phone that I go to periodically just to remember. Okay, where am I at again? So that beginner phase, it's like, yeah, I need just a little bit of grace. And I had individual conversations. When I first went into the role, I believe we had about 38 officers. I had individual conversations with almost all of them. And I told them, I have a plan. We're going to work on this together, but I need you to give me some grace while I learn my position. And trust me, when I get it down packed, we're going to be a strong team. And they all took me at my word. And I had follow-up meetings with them. And I would always ask, hey, how you doing today? And after they tell me how they're doing, I say, okay, how am I doing?
There you go. That's good. So the feedback model worked, huh?
Like, yeah, how am I doing? Like how am I leading you correctly? Am I doing what you expected me to do in this role? And you got some of the modest ones like, yeah, I guess you're doing all right. They're not paying attention, but they notice they're not having the same problems that they used to complain about.
That's awesome.
So when I notice complaints start to go down, I'm like, I got to be doing something right. But I still like to get that feedback from each individual officer as well as the supervisors. And I've noticed that those one-on-ones are like, they're huge because not only does it give me, that opportunity to get feedback on what I can improve on or what I'm doing well at, so I know I can continue to do it. It also gives that personal feel and that opportunity for them to know that I'm not just your boss. I'm a person. I want to know how you're doing. I want to make sure that I can still lead, because when it comes to the crucial conversations, I've also learned how to do those correctly. I remember an example that you gave, where you said that sometimes when you're speaking and you're having a crucial conversation, you make sure that the person you're talking to has some skin in the game when it comes to the improvement portion. And one thing I know that I've continued to implement is the pausing when I'm speaking, to give them time to kind of reflect before they return, before they answer the questions. And I mean, it's been amazing. Like, I really can't say that I've had too many bad days since I've been in this role.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great news to hear. We're all so very proud of you, and I know that you're sending others to training
Oh
and
yeah.
making sure that they get the tools that you have
Yeah.
received.
Of course. Of course. I mean, it's important. I mean, one thing, you said it when you started off the class. And, like everybody else, I was a little skeptical. Like, you said this class would be life changing. I'm like, life changing. I'm like, hey, he got to sell it. This is his class. He got to sell it. And then I went through the class and I went straight to the next supervisor. Hey, man, it's life changing, but you got to be willing to learn. You got to be willing to ask the right questions and take from the class everything you need. And you'll see that it'll be beneficial. And when I'm talking to the supervisors, I utilize that because I know that for our department, we only can send our supervisors to this class. But I also use different things about the class whenever I'm talking to the staff as a whole. When we had our recent staff meeting, I first laid the groundwork about what it is to you know get more out of things when you put more in. And I use a bank reference, like, you can't get extra money out of the bank unless you're putting something in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's my way of implementing the idea of having skin in the game. And then after I finish my whole soapbox about how you can be better and how you can be great and how you can move up, and I see all the looks on everybody's faces that says, nah, I don't know if I believe that, I always end my speech by saying, but I did it. And that's when everybody in the room normally goes, oh, that's right. He ain't been here that long.
Yep.
And it's like, we got opportunities to learn things. We have to start applying what we learn. And if somebody's putting time aside to teach us things, take as much as you can get. And when you apply those things you learn, you can elevate.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now you play dual roles as described in your bio. Not
Mm.
only are you at the city in terms of a coordinator, but you're also a youth pastor. So let's talk about that. And how long have you been a youth pastor, and how do you see both your roles working together?
So I've been in ministry. I think ministry has been 11 years. I've been at my church I'm at, but I've been the youth pastor. This year will make 7 years. It's been an amazing journey. A lot of our young people that I started out with, they were willing to, be the congregation for the youth pastor when I was still learning what it meant to be a leader. Um, I, it's like one of the most enjoyable things that I've ever had the opportunity of doing. To see the look on the youth's face when they're learning about the Lord and being able to be, included in church service, because we got to the place like when I first joined the church, youth Sunday was just on like the third Sunday, and it was just that was the only day you really seen the youth active in the church. Over the course of time, I sat down with my pastor. And we began to talk about ideas of having the youth dance, because we have a youth dance group, having dance on more than one occasion. And now we're at a place now where like everything's interchangeable. Like you can have a youth Sunday on the first Sunday, second Sunday. I mean, we have our designated day, but we also have the opportunity to just be part of service now. And that's when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. When I was growing up, I think we had the fifth Sunday, which you only get a few of those a year.
Right,
And,
right.
But now it's becoming a thing where the ministry itself has just grown to a place where the youth are part of the entire ministry. It's not just the youth department, but although we call it our youth department,
Sure.
that's just a body of people now. It's not, it's not separate. By doing that though, like the investment that I make into our young people, that's something that I care about. I care about their safety, and that's how the roles kind of, that's the part where they kind of come together. Caring about the safety of our young people makes it where when I come to work and I'm thinking about the city of Rochester, I'm thinking like, do I want my youth from my church to be able to walk down these streets? What can I do to make these rec centers that my officers work at more safe so that I can take my whole youth group in there? What can I do to improve the safety of all these different places that I know my youth are going to be at? And that's kind of how they work together. Like I'm constantly thinking of ways to keep places safe and other things we can do with our youth department outside of the church, outside of the four walls, where they can be impactful to other young people. When I was growing up, our biggest influences or the majority of our day was spent in school or with other people our age. And, everybody my age wasn't talking the same way the people in church were talking. And we had to get to I personally had to get to the place where I realized that church is just not one day a week. It's ministry is not just one day a week. It's an everyday thing. It's ongoing. It's something that you can't just stop because you don't feel like doing it anymore. There's always another opportunity to win the soul for the kingdom. There's always another opportunity to keep somebody safe. And that's how I kind of combine the idea of being the coordinator and the youth pastor all at the same time.
That's great. That's great. With the goal of, with a very similar goal.
Yeah.
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 Fantastic.
One of the things that my best friend, he wrote a book called Leading While Black. And in his book, there's a section in his book where he asked me a question one day, and he said, "Why should leaders lead with the end in mind?" And I told him, "I need you to give me about an hour." And about an hour, I sent him back a passage. I sent him back almost like I want to say a 2-3 paragraph summary of what what the Lord laid on my heart. And it was, you lead with the end in mind so that you don't lose focus while you're running. That was me condensing it. That was way longer.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, it's like, I know where I'm heading towards. So now this stumbling block doesn't mean as much to me because I know that if I fell right here, I can get up because the end goal is still the end goal.
Sure.
I just got to keep pushing towards it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What are some of the things in your journey that you had come across that you think because you knew the Lord, because you knew where you were going, what are some of those stumbles that might have taken others down, but you got back up and moved forward?
I think what we perceive as a lack of opportunity, rejection. There was a during the time that I applied for the coordinator of security position, I actually had my hat in a bunch of other different, like I had eggs in a bunch of different baskets at that same time. It was something about the leadership class, me preparing for my ordination at the church, and just conversations amongst my friends and people, my brothers, that just had me in a place where I was like, I gotta go for everything. I went for the police department, fire department, and the coordinator of security position all at the same time.
Wow.
And while I was going for all three of them, I was on a weight loss plan, and I was hitting the gym. I was doing all of this stuff at the same time. And I ended up failing the police exam because by like 5 sit-ups. I just couldn't get the last 5. And in that moment, I didn't feel the same defeat. I tried out for the fire department like almost 6 years ago, and that one crushed me. Like I cried in the car and everything. And I said I was never going to apply again. And then, get here to the city, and everybody's like, "Oh, you work for the city. It's easier to get in. You just got to pass the test." I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna lose this weight, and I'm gonna be ready to go." The idea of being rejected or losing an opportunity, I believe for a lot of people that stops them from applying themselves to the next thing. There was a lot of us that didn't pass the police exam that day, and some people left there saying, "I'm never doing this again." And that was like when I seen the reaction of different people coming out of the police exam and how heartbroken they were. I actually sat in the parking lot for an extra 20 minutes just motivating people. And I'm thinking to myself like, wow, maybe I wasn't here to be an officer. Maybe I was just here for this moment.
Yes.
And then right before the day before the fire exam is when the announcement came out that I was, blessed with this position I'm in now. And I started thinking to myself, like, do I really want to fight fires that bad? Like, I'd rather, pray for the firefighter, or if they want to retire and come do security, I'd rather hire them. I don't know if I want to fight them. But my wife actually motivated me. She said, you put in all the work, just go take the exam. Whether you pass or not, go for it. Go for everything. Said, you can pick your position at the end, but go for it. I went there, I ran, I missed by one shuttle because you do a pacer test for the fire exam.
Okay.
Missed by one shuttle. There were a lot of guys that, didn't pass. And again, I'm in the parking lot afterwards, motivating all these people that said they're never going to go for this again. And I'm like, wow. I started to realize the reason that I'm in these places wasn't always for me to actually get the job, but to motivate the other ones that were going to give up. That failure 6 years ago for me was for me to carry across for somebody else so that I can be the person to tell them, nah, you can keep going. You can do it again. Because those things that, like I said, rejection makes people feel like there's never going to be an opportunity, or no, this is never going to happen for me. But again, I'm living proof that if you keep going, keep pressing forward, there's a blessing that's waiting for us. We just got to keep our eyes on the goal. We have to walk with the end in mind, and we have to lead the same way.
I love that. Walk like if you have the end in mind.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect. Just keep walking, keep moving forward. Don't quit. Don't give up.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the things that we talk about in our coaching program, and I'll tell our viewers and listeners about that after. But one of the things that we talk about is about failure, and failure is not fatal.
I like that.
Because most people think, well, they failed, so that's the end of the world. But it's not fatal. Failure is inevitable. We're all going to fail. And Zig Ziglar always says, and that's it. He's one of my favorite when it comes to inspiration. He says, failure is not a person; it's an event.
I like that.
But what we do is that we internalize it, and because we think that we failed, we think that we're failures. But sometimes we need people like yourself to come in and inspire us and tell us, hey, get back up.
That's what's important, man. It's important to get back up. Yeah. So that's wild. Failure is an event, not a person. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you still teaching, man. Like, look.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I can't help it, Ron. It's in me.
Man, you got it too.
Well, praise God. Ron, a couple of questions for you, and then we'll wrap up here.
All right.
What would you tell? Well, a couple of things. What would you tell a Ron Sneed Jr. and that's 20 years with everything that you've known now? What would you tell a 20-year-old Ron Sneed Jr.? What advice would you give him?
I would tell him to be patient and know his worth. I be patient, know your worth, and apply yourself. There were a lot of jobs that I held, years ago, and I was the guy that wanted to show my loyalty to certain jobs, not recognizing that I really wasn't moving anywhere, and it's funny to say that I was staying at these jobs, but at the same time I was anxious. It's like I wanted them to see the value in me, but I myself wasn't looking at my own value, because had I been looking at my own value, I would have started applying to other places a lot sooner when I recognized that, I was done with the work in this place. I was working at Price Right.
Okay.
And I was there almost 8 years.
Wow.
And had only went up $1 and like 15 cents. And then I applied for security. And as soon as I started the security job, I already had a $3 raise. And I'm like, where did this come from? Like I thought there was no money. And then, and I'm not saying it's just like it's all about the money, but I did notice from that point, like, you have to apply yourself to different things, especially when you start to recognize who you are. But at the same time, you don't have to be anxious for anything.
That's right.
If this doesn't work, then just go to the next one, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us, we don't have all our eggs in one basket. But when our passion and our purpose start to meet up, then things start to click for us. That's why you can't turn the teaching off. The passion and the purpose have met each other. It's like,
yeah.
And I think that I didn't realize how much leadership was important to me until I was in the class. It was like in that class, it's like it unlocked something that I didn't know I had. I was like, huh. And, when I started to share some of the things I was learning with like friends of mine, one of them laughed at me. It was like, hey, man, well, I'm glad you finally realized it. I'm like, what you mean? He was like, man, we've been following you for years.
Wow.
Like, y'all been following me. He said, yeah, man. He said, that's why if you call a rehearsal for music, music stuff, we all show up. That's why when you say, hey, I got to do this over here, we all show up. He's like, you always been a leader. He's like, well, we just was waiting on you to get it. I'm like, But, so I would have told 20-year-old Ron that you're going to be a leader, but you have to apply yourself, remain patient, but remain vigilant at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, because do you remember what we talked about and we asked, and the question I asked is, are you a born leader? Are leaders born, or are they made and developed?
Yeah, I remember that question.
And that was a big conversation between.
That was a big conversation, man. Yeah. My big brother in that class, he was not with it. He said, nah, we born.
Right.
He's like, nah, you ain't got to develop me. I came in with this.
Exactly.
But as we've all learned, it can be developed.
Absolutely.
One thing I heard you say that I say in my household, I say it in the church, not just to the youth department, but to the entire church. I always remind them about. I did all this talking, building up to it, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something about coaches. Oh, you train the will. Is that how it is? You train the skill, coach the will.
Exactly. Yep.
I use that every time when the Lord drops it in my spirit. I make sure I bring it back to people, and I say, so if you're looking at somebody that's talented and you're wondering like, oh, they're blowing their talent, like, listen, go ahead, coach them. They just need some coaching because they're talented. They got these gifts, but you have to coach them into having the will to do it.
Yeah, because training is all about skill. If someone doesn't have the skill to do it, we can't coach them. You have to teach and train them.
You have to train them.
Right. But if they have the skill, but they don't want to do the lack of ambition or the will to do it, then that's when the coaching come in. So
I remember my first, one of my first experiences with one of the security officers. I came and I said, yeah, I had to do some coaching with him. And you said, coaching? And then you said, you sure you was doing coaching? I was like, yeah. And he's like, we'll talk about it. And then at the end of the class, I was like, oh, I guess he just needed some training because he didn't know what he was doing. Like,
that's right. There we go.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it was definitely a great experience for me, man. I talk about that class to almost everybody.
Awesome. And then the coaching piece is coming up. We're launching our second cohort of coaching, and that'll be later on this month. I'm going to put that in the chat as we move forward, and that's open to anyone, right? Whether the city of Rochester or outside of city of Rochester, even if you're in Australia, you want to join us.
Come on, man.
Yeah, so we because it's all about developing people, right, where they want to go, because we are never at the point where we are at full capacity. We're always operating lower than what we're capable of.
Yeah, that's good too, man. You gotta bring a notepad next time I sit and talk with you, man. This is some good stuff, man. Yeah.
Ron, as we end, is there anything that you want to tell our viewers and listeners? Any words of wisdom that you want to tell them?
Just want to tell everybody, just continue to believe in yourself. See the value in yourself when it comes to applying to anything. Don't internalize failure. I just learned that one. That was good. Don't internalize failure, and embrace all change. I had a boss that used to tell me that change isn't good, change isn't bad, change is inevitable. And when things change, we have the capacity to adapt. So
that's good.
Keep adapting, keep growing.
Good words of wisdom. Good words of wisdom.
Awesome.
Ron, before we leave, I generally put people on the hot seat and I ask them 4 or 5 questions that makes them more relatable. So we call it rapid fire.
Okay, rapid fire.
Don't think about it. Just give the answers. Favorite food?
Pizza.
All right. Favorite place of vacation?
I want to say Bahamas, but this is going to be my first year going there.
Oh, congratulations. Good.
Thank you.
Now, people don't know that you are a Christian rapper as well.
Yes, sir.
So what is your favorite type of music?
Rap. Gospel rap. My music is my favorite type of music.
There you go. Favorite saying in terms of quotes?
Favorite quote, I have a dream.
Okay. All right. I like that. That's perfect. Yeah. Favorite scripture?
Favorite scripture, that's a good one because I got a couple of them. You said rapid fire, Psalm 23. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
Now I'm thinking about it over here, man. I got like 15 more, but it's okay.
Well, we have to get you back for part 2.
Awesome.
All right. And we can follow up and spend some more time. So, Ron, thank you so very much for being my guest.
No problem,
may
man.
God continue to bless you. May your latter years be greater than your former.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to come on here and chop it up with the best coach in the world, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all haven't been to a class by Patrick Jackman, I don't know what you're doing. You don't want to be successful. You don't want to be successful.
Thank you, Ron.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.